Hello everyone. Welcome back to PamTen's YouTube channel. So I'm pretty sure you would have used ChatGPT in your everyday life for varied purposes. Maybe to generate a mail or get a summary of a book that you've just read. But have you actually wondered how is ChatGPT trained? Well, in today's video, we'll cover exactly that. So there are three stages involved in training ChatGPT. The first stage is known as generative pre-training. Second stage is known as supervised fine-tuning, and then finally you have reinforcement learning through human feedback. Okay, these are really technical terms and you don't really understand much of anything. So, we'll understand all of these three stages using a really interesting example over here. So you have Sam, who's a really smart student and has just enrolled into a college. He's majoring in computer science and wants to be an expert at everything. So he wants to be an expert at data science, machine learning, web development, Android development, everything that you can name off and think of. So for this, he goes to the library every day and reads every single book that is present in the library. Now, consider the same scenario with this model known as transformer. So this transformer model forms the base for your GPT, and this model has been trained on huge amounts of data, terabytes and petabytes of data, and this generates something called as a base GPT. Now this base GPT has all of the functional elements, but this is not yet a conversational agent, which would mean that this can perform tasks, but you can't really converse with this agent. So, we'll again take the example of Sam. So, he has finished college and learned all of the knowledge that there is with respect to computer science, and he goes for an interview. So, there in the interview, he's asked to explain his project, and he's just not able to explain his project. He's got all the technical skills, but he has zero soft skills currently. He's got no communication skills. And this is the problem with your base GPT. So it's got the knowledge, but it is not yet a conversational agent. So the base GPT that we have developed through the training, it can do language translation, text summarization, sentiment analysis, a whole lot of things. But you can't really talk to it in natural language. And this is where the second stage comes in. So in this second stage of training, we have something called as supervised fine tuning. So again, we have Sam over here. He goes to a lot of interviews and he gets rejected in all of those interviews. So he goes to a trainer. So he finds an engineering manager from Google and then he asks him to, hey, this is my scenario and I'd want to develop some communication skills with this. So this trainer takes Sam under his wing and tells him how to approach an interview. So he tells him that whatever the question is, you first start with a problem statement and then you tell them this is the process that you've used and then you finally give a conclusion. So this trainer basically gives Sam a template on how to approach these interviews. So he's training him with respect to a template. And he goes to a couple of interviews and he aces those interviews. So he's able to communicate properly during these interviews. And now that is what is happening with our base GPT. So what we do is we create a data repository of request and response, and the request and response are actually human developed. So if the question is what is 2 plus 2, there will be a response generated by human. So instead of just giving 4, what we'll do is we'll say, hey, 2 plus 2 or the addition of 2 plus 2 is 4. Similarly, maybe if the request is tell me a funny dad joke, again there'll be a human response for this. So this is how we are adding those soft skills or conversational skills using this request response store, and we are training our base GPT on this request response store. So our base GPT already had all the functional skills. It could do text summarization, language translation, all of those, but it could not converse. And this is where it learns the conversational skills through this request response data store. And this is what is known as supervised fine tuning. It is called as supervised fine tuning because you have labels. If this is the request, this is what you respond. If the request is like this is how you respond. So this is the second stage. Okay, now Sam has successfully aced the interview and he joins the company. But now in the company, again, this is the real world. He has not actually worked with his team members, and that is where he has to continuously learn through feedback. Now, since Sam knows everything, he knows data science, web development, Android development, everything, but here he has to speak with people from different departments. He has to speak with a project manager who will not have so many technical skills. He has to speak with a data scientist who might not have web development skills. So here, let's say Sam is speaking with a project manager and he gives the project manager a lot of technical details, but the project manager does not really understand much of this. So here, the project manager gives Sam feedback on how he can improve his communication. So here, Sam understands that, okay, he's a project manager and he'll not understand this. So let me make it more in a descriptive way. Similarly, if he goes to a data scientist, Sam will ensure not to use a web development lingo or Android development lingo and only talk with respect to data science jargon. So this is where he's actually learning from his fellow teammates and he analyzes his own soft skills. So now in future, whenever he goes to his teammates, whether he's a project manager or a data scientist or a data analyst, he will basically give responses with respect to what the other person wants. And this is what is happening in the third stage, which is called as reinforcement learning through human feedback. So we have the SFT GPT or the supervised fine-tuned GPT. Now, the supervised fine-tuned GPT, this is able to converse, but this will not understand what sort of response to give to which person or what type of problem. So here, let's say, here you have a person and then this person asks SFT GPT a question and this will give certain responses. Now here, this is called as reinforcement learning through human feedback because you have certain people who will tag these responses according to the relevance of the answer. So here, let's say the first response, this person has tagged it as it is clear and engaging. Second response, he has tagged it as creative, not technical. Third, it is very misleading and irrelevant. Okay. Now you have all of these responses, and these responses have been given labels and ranks or scores by a human. Now, all of these labels will again be fed to a new model, and this model is known as the reward model. So, this reward model has been created so that the SFT GPT can be trained on this. Because every time the GPT gives a response, you can't have a human assessing the response, right? Because OpenAI can't really employ people to rank this response. Hey, this is irrelevant. Hey, this is good but not technical. Hey, this is very good. You can't have humans doing that. So that is why this reward model was developed, which is based on reinforcement learning. Now this SFT GPT is trained on it and it has a lot of responses, and since it is trained on this model, it will rank all of those responses. And here it tries to optimize the score. So whichever response will have the highest score based on this reward model, that is the final response SFT GPT will give you. And this is how ChatGPT is developed. So friends, the three stages in developing or designing your ChatGPT. So the first stage where it learned everything, that is known as base GPT or pre-trained GPT. Then you were supervised fine-tuning your GPT. And then finally there was reinforcement learning. So these are the three important stages. So thank you very much and hopefully you enjoyed this video and we'll meet in the next one. So if you have actually liked this video, do subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends. Thank you.